In all the cases where there is no scope of proving something directly, we adopt indirect method. For example, if we want to demonstrate that there is a particle called electron, you cannot observe electron by using howsoever sophisticated machines. Similarly, you cannot observe a black hole. It is not possible to see black hole, right? But then you see a lot more discussion, and every day you find some evidence which indicate that the black holes are the realities. There we are adopting, in fact, this very indirect method. We cannot detect black hole directly, but we see that certain things cannot be explained if we do not accept the existence of black hole in a particular location, right? So this is called indirect proof method, which means if you do not accept the existence of black hole, this is a negation of, let us say, conclusion, right? Then you land up in a difficulty of explaining something. And the extreme form of difficulty is contradiction. Indirect proof method is meant for those cases where direct demonstration is not possible technically or in principle, and therefore we adopt indirect proof method, and this is perfectly rational method to establish our claim, right? We adopt even indirect proof method as a kind of complementary method to demonstrate something. In Indian philosophy, we take very popular example that in a remote place, if you see smoke coming out of that place, so by observing smoke, you infer the presence of fire in that location, right? Though the fire may not be visible to you, but just by seeing the emergence of smoke, let us say in a very remote area, on a hill, or maybe in a very remote area where you cannot visually see the flames of fire, but just by observing the presence of smoke, you infer the presence of fire in that location. You derive the presence of fire in that location. But if there is no fire in a particular location, what you can infer? You can infer the absence of smoke. That means smoke is not possible in a location where there is no fire. So the absence of fire suggests the absence of smoke. Presence of smoke suggests the presence of fire. So indirect proof method is usually adopted in a situation where it is difficult or it is technically impossible to establish the claim. And therefore we say that if we do not accept this, then we will land up in difficulty, in contradiction, in some kind of inconsistency. So we accept that there is a black hole in a particular location because of certain effect, not the direct observation of black hole, but because of certain effect. And we are not in a position to explain that effect with the help of other information available to us than the black hole, right? So we explain the effect of black hole by posing the existence of black hole. And there could be a number of examples of that kind where you infer something because the denial of the existence of that thing creates much more interpretational problems than the acceptance of that thing. So indirect proof method is helpful in all such situations. And as I said, it can be used to have more certainty about direct demonstration, right? So it can be used as a kind of complementary method, but in certain cases, this can be unavoidable method, right? Because there is no direct demonstration possible. You have seen the conditional proof method where it can be used where you have a conditional claim, where your conclusion is in the form of a conditional statement, only then you can use the conditional proof method, right? And you have also seen that when your conclusion is conditional, so there you have antecedent implying the consequent, right? So you have already a list of premises and you have a conclusion where you say that the antecedent implies the consequent. So by using conditional proof method, you take the antecedent of your conclusion in the list of premises. So earlier you were claiming that given the truth of the premises, conclusion cannot be false. Now you are saying that given the truth of the premises and also the truth of the antecedent of the conclusion, the consequent of the conclusion cannot be denied. And both the proofs are very interesting. In fact, there are a lot more practical implications of these rules we normally use in our argumentation. Now, these two rules can be used for one more purpose. You have learned the tautology, contradiction, and contingent statements. So, conditional proof as well as indirect proof methods can be used to demonstrate the tautologous nature of any statement. If a statement is tautology, these two rules can be used to see whether they are tautology or not, right? And if they are tautologies, you can very well establish their tautologous nature by using these rules. So how it can be established? I'll show you with the help of one example for both conditional proof as well as indirect proof method, and how they can be used to demonstrate that a statement is tautology. Okay, so I'm writing a statement which is really a tautology, I think. Q implies R, and this whole implies Q implies P implies R. This is a statement, or question could be so that this statement is a tautology by using conditional proof method, by using CP. So how we should show it? We break this conditional statement into an argument form. Yesterday I told you that an argument can be rewritten in the form of a statement, a conditional statement. How? We conjoin, we put all the premises in conjunction, and the conjunction of all the premises implies the conclusion, right? So this way you can rewrite an argument in a conditional statement form. You know that CP can be used only in that situation where the statement is conditional, right? So you look at this statement, it is a conditional. You can clearly see that the main connective of the statement is implication, right? So the main connective is implication. So this is a conditional statement. Now how the rule of conditional proof can be used? So what we do, we write the antecedent of the statement as premise, right, number one, and then the consequent of the statement as conclusion. The antecedent is made premise and the consequent is made conclusion. So now this conditional statement is rewritten in the form of an argument, right? Just opposite to what I was saying earlier. An argument can be rewritten in the form of a conditional statement, and vice versa. A conditional statement can be rewritten in the form of the argument, right? So what we have done in writing that, this is the premise and this is the antecedent. So the antecedent is taken to be the premise and the consequent is taken to be the conclusion. Now you look at this conclusion. Here you have again a conditional statement. Conclusion is a conditional statement. And by writing this, you will be writing here CP. So again, you have a conditional statement in your conclusion. So you can again do the same exercise. You can make it open because square bracket was necessary so that we can easily see the relationship. So now again, you can follow the same. So antecedent is Q. So you can make Q as one of your premises. And then what would be your conclusion? It will be P implies R, the consequent of the conclusion. So we have again broken the conclusion. This is again CP. Then you realize that the conclusion is still a conditional statement. The same thing you can repeat. You can just write P, include P in the premises, and then you have R. And again, you are using the rule of conditional proof. And you have arrived at this situation where the conclusion is just R, or your premises are number one, P implies Q implies R, then you have Q, and then you have P. So now all these things, I am striking for the sake of clarity, but while solving the question, you don't need to strike. You should not strike, in fact. Just to show you that this is the argument, I have struck off other things. So this is your argument now. P implies Q, Q implies R, Q, P, therefore R. Now you can easily derive R, right? By using all the available premises. So if you apply modus ponens in 1 and 3, you can easily get Q implies R. This is 1 and 3 modus ponens. And you have second as Q. So you can just get R by using again modus ponens in 4 and 2, right? So now you have derived R. That is the last part of your statement by using all the parts which are implying R, right? So you could do it, and this shows that this complete statement is a tautology. Now, this is a valid argument, right? ये जो argument है, valid है तभी आपने derive किया ना conclusion. तो argument valid है, तभी आपका conclusion derive हुआ. अगर invalid होता तो conclusion पहुंचते ही नहीं, derive ही नहीं होता. तो इससे क्या show होता है? A valid argument can be rewritten in the form of a conditional statement, and that statement will be a tautology. कोई भी वैलिड आर्गुमेंट को अगर आप कंडीशनल स्टेटमेंट के फॉर्म में लिखते हैं तो वो कंडीशनल स्टेटमेंट एक टॉटोलॉजी होगा. ये लॉजिक आपको बताता है. जो कंडीशनल स्टेटमेंट किसी आर्गुमेंट को रिफॉर्मुलेट करके पाया गया है, दैट मीन्स प्रेमिसेस का कंजंक्शन किया गया. मैं कह रहा हूं कंजंक्शन किया गया, तो अगर आप कंजंक्शन कर दो, जैसे P implies Q implies R, conjunction Q, conjunction P, and then you can apply exportation. Finally, you will get the whole thing, right? By exportation, आप exportation लगाते रहिए. तो 1 2 3 का conjunction implies R. वो वही है जो ये पूरा स्टेटमेंट है. और आर्गुमेंट वैलिड है. कैसे वैलिड है ये आपने देख लिया. यू कुड डिराइव R from 1 to 3. So this is a valid argument, and therefore the conditional statement which is obtained by using the conjunction of premises, implication, conclusion, that is a tautology. So you construct any conditional statement of any valid argument, that statement will be tautology. And if the argument is not valid, then it cannot be a tautology. एक invalid argument का आप conditional statement अगर बनाओगे तो वो कभी भी tautology होगा नहीं. या तो वो contradiction होगा या contingent होगा, right? Tautology नहीं होगा. तो you can use CP method to show a particular statement tautology. How you can do it? This is the method. Similarly, you can use indirect proof method also to show that a particular statement is tautology. Consider for example, मेथड वही है जो पहले आपने देखा, जैसे सीपी कैसे यूज करना है तो कहाँ यूज होगा. Unless you have a conditional statement, you cannot use CP to show that it is a tautology. So it must be first a conditional statement, right? And how it should be broken into argument, this you have seen. This way you need to break it. Now same thing is with the indirect proof method. So suppose your statement is not a conditional statement. For example, suppose you have A which A implies B. और क्वेश्चन आपको पूछा गया, show that A which A implies B is a tautology by using IP, indirect proof method. So what you need to do here, you need to begin with the denial of this whole statement. And here you have to write IP, right? So you are beginning with the denial of the whole of a statement. Now, what is the next step? You are denying the statement, and if the statement is a tautology, that means if it is always true, its denial will be false. And how to show that it is false? You need to derive a contradiction. You need to derive a contradiction out of this very denial of the statement. And that derivation of contradiction is the demonstration that this particular statement is a tautology. If it is not a tautology, you cannot derive a contradiction. Now let us derive. First में De Morgan लगा दिया. 1 De Morgan. Now you can simplify negation of A. This is 2 simplification. Now you can have commutation. By commutation you will get this part, and then conjunction, negation of A. You have applied commutation in 2. Again you need to simplify. So 4 simplification. Now what we can do, this is implication, so we can apply another rule. क्या किया हमने, parenthesis के बीच में हमने implication लगा दिया. Implication, this can be used, implication can be used in between. It's like changing any part, right? So I have applied implication only here. I have not touched negation or anything else, right? The implication is applied, negation A, wedge B. Now you got wedge here, negation outside. So again you can use De Morgan. So De Morgan आपको क्या yield किया? ये आपको generate कर दिया from 6 De Morgan. Now you can simplify. Simplification use लगाया, double negation A ले लिया, 7 simplification, फिर A ले लिया, 8 का double negation. Now look at line number 3 and line number 9. 3 says it is negation A, 9 number says A, and this is contradiction, A and negation A. So you got the contradiction in the derivation. How you got the contradiction? You have denied the statement which was to be shown as tautology. That means inside you have T, and you have denied T, therefore it must generate a contradiction, right? And you know that if you want to explicitly write a contradiction, you can put A and negation A in conjunction. क्या किया है? 9 और 3 का हमने conjunction किया. And you know that this is false, always false, right? So you have derived this as false. How? By denying what is true. ये अगर बीच वाला ट्रू नहीं होगा तो ये फॉल्स कभी नहीं है, इस तरह आएगा नहीं, राइट? फ्रॉम ट्रू यू कैन नॉट डेराइव फॉल्स. फॉल्स से फॉल्स डेराइव कर सकते हैं. ट्रू से फॉल्स अगर डेराइव कर लिया तो क्या हो गया? आर्गुमेंट इनवैलिड हो गया. प्रेमिसेस ट्रू हैं, कंक्लूजन आपका फॉल्स आ गया तो आर्गुमेंट इनवैलिड हो गया। और इनवैलिड आर्गुमेंट को अगर आप कंडीशनल स्टेटमेंट बनाओगे कभी टोटोलॉजी नहीं होगी। सो यू हैव यूज्ड indirect proof method to show that a particular statement is a tautology. How? This way. You started with the denial of the statement and then derived a contradiction, and this is the demonstration that the denial of the statement leads to contradiction and therefore the statement is a tautology. Now we are moving to another rule which combines CP/IP both. In fact, the rule is called the strengthened rule of conditional proof. ये हम learn करेंगे. It is a kind of conditional proof, but it is more powerful than the earlier rule, the rule of conditional proof. ये किस sense में powerful है? In the rule of conditional proof, you have seen that you are including in the list of premises the antecedent of the conclusion, right? In the rule of conditional proof, we include only the antecedent of the conclusion. In the rule of conditional proof, we include only the antecedent of the conclusion in the list of premises, right? Nothing else. Similarly, in the rule of article लगा दो, in the rule of the indirect proof, we include only the negation of the conclusion. And what we do here in the rule of conditional proof, we derive the consequent of the conclusion, right? In the case of the rule of conditional proof, we include the antecedent of the conclusion in the list of premises, and then we derive the consequent of the conclusion. We don't derive the whole of conclusion, right? So that is the limitation of the rule of conditional proof. Similarly, in the rule of the indirect proof, we include only the negation of the conclusion and we derive a contradiction. So this we have realized. The first limitation with the rule of conditional proof, and second is the limitation of the rule of indirect proof. In the strengthened rule of conditional proof, we can include anything convenient in the list of premises which will help us reach to the conclusion. In the strengthened rule of conditional proof, we can include anything convenient, any element, any proposition which is convenient for what? Convenient to reach to the conclusion. But there is a rider. ये जो anything convenient जो use कर रहे हैं, so whatever we include as assumption, anything convenient आपने रख लिया तो वो आपका assumption है basically. You are assuming that this is also correct in case this is also correct, right? So, but whatever we include, that is our assumption, and therefore we must apply closure to this assumption before reaching to the conclusion. Once the assumption, मैं इसको example से show कर दूंगा. Once the assumption line is closed, no element between the scope of assumption should be used, और should be नहीं है, ये can be है, हो ही नहीं सकता. No element between the scope of assumption can be used again in the argument. If it is required whole, then it must be derived again. और इसमें ये भी है, there could be several assumptions in one derivation. There could be several assumptions in one derivation, but with the same proviso. मतलब assumption लिया तो उसको close करना है with the same proviso. Proviso का मतलब क्या होता है? जो condition बताया गया ऊपर. Assumption लिया है तो उस assumption को close करना पड़ेगा. अब मैं आपको एक एग्जाम्पल देता हूं, आप समझिए कि कैसे होगा वो. मान लो एक प्रेमिस है, छोटा लेंथ, जिससे आपको आसानी हो समझने में. E वेज F implies G. दिस इज प्रेमिस 1. आप सारे लोग लिखते भी रहो और फॉलो करते रहो. प्रेमिस 2, H implies I dot J, and the conclusion is E implies G conjunction H implies I. So I said we can assume anything. We can include anything in the list of premises which will help us to derive the conclusion. Our conclusion is this: E implies G dot H implies I. इसका मतलब क्या है? We can derive E implies G, or separately we can derive H implies I, and then we can just put them in conjunction, right? And that is our conclusion. So let us target first E implies G and see how the closure should be applied. Put an arrow against 3. Now here you can write anything, whatever is going to be helpful. So let us say if we assume E, so let us assume E, and then this arrow, we have put the arrow, so arrow shows that we have assumed E, and you don't need to write anything against E, because here arrow is indication that line 3 is our assumption line. We have assumed, we have included E out of nothing. अब हम डेरिवेशन करेंगे वही जो 19 रूल्स हैं उसको यूज करते हुए. तो हमने किया, E में F ऐड कर दिया, line 3 में we have applied addition. Now E वेज F आ गया और number 1 पे E वेज F implies G है, so we can have G. So from 1 and 4 modus ponens. So we have got G. अब ये क्लोज करना है, ऐसे यहाँ क्लोज कर दीजिए. तो यहाँ से आपने इसको क्लोज कर दिया. अब इसके नीचे आपको क्या करना है? इसी लाइन के नीचे आप लिख दीजिए E implies G. After the closure, you have to write whatever you have assumed, and that will imply the last line which you have here. So E implies G. And how you have got? So you will be writing against this. From 3. From 3 मतलब 3 dash आपको लगाना है. From 3 to 5, you have used strengthened rule of conditional proof. So you write either SCP or CP, doesn't matter. जैसे मैंने ये बताया, यही चीज आपको अब इसके साथ भी H implies I चाहिए, तो you can again start fresh assumption, right? मैंने कहा कितनी भी बार आप assume कर सकते हो, तो आप एक assumption और ले लो, और assumption जहां लोगे वहां आपको ऐसे ही लाइन लगा देना है. तो 7 के अगेंस्ट you have H, तो जैसे H के अगेंस्ट एरो लगाया, that means H is assumed and you don't need to write anything against H. तो H is assumption line, और H आया तो you can have I dot J. डेरिवेशन शुरू कर दीजिए. I dot J from 2 and 7 modus ponens, and then finally you can derive I, that is from 8 simplification, and you are looking for H implies I. So again यहाँ ऐसे क्लोज करिए इसको, और लाइन 10 जो होगा आपका वो सीधे H implies I लिख देना है. It came from line 7, from 7 to 9, the rule of SCP. Now you see line 6 is free, E implies G. This is not within the scope of assumption. ये आपके सारे लाइन जो हैं they are not available further. जैसे आपने क्लोज किया तो ये सब बॉक्स में पैक हो गया, लेकिन आप देखिए ये लाइन 6 जो है बॉक्स के बाहर है, सिमिलरली लाइन 10 भी बॉक्स के बाहर है, तो इसको आप यूज कर सकते हैं। तो 11 में आपको क्या करना है, सीधे E implies G और H implies I का कंजंक्शन कर देना है। यही आपका कंक्लूजन था, राइट। इसके आगे आपको लिख देना है 6 और 10 का कंजंक्शन। So this way we also derive the conclusion. So we have shown by using the SCP that this argument is valid.